Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video on the update for Kingdom of Flesh for the third day now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So in this day in Kingdom of Flesh, what I really went ahead and did was I went ahead and implemented basically a lot of different sort of features that were variously distributed. So the first things, of course, was dialogue. Dialogue was a pretty simple thing to implement with a basic texture that displays on the bottom side of the screen, and then basically a dialogue text plays across of it. Once it's done, you press X and then it continues on with the next dialogue line, or it just simply exits you out. The next thing I did after that was that I basically went ahead and fleshed out the entire storyline for all of the tutorial, all of the villagers, everything like that. I basically made sure that I had the entire story of the village written down, and basically it's all ready to go ahead and be played. After that, the next day, I went ahead and started working on the inventory, which I realized I needed items. Items took a lot longer than I expected, mainly for the fact that I had to do a lot of art for items, and basically taking that time to do art ended up costing me a significant amount of time. However, I will definitely be getting those bonus points for making my own original art, so I think it might be a worthwhile trade-off. After that, I went ahead and did the inventory system, which obviously relies on items, and once you have that, basically you can go around and do things with your inventory. You can stack items, you can move them around, and you can modify your inventory in that manner. Now, given that this is basically what I've done, I also decided to go ahead and work on the basics of combat. I didn't get to go through the full entire thing of combat, especially being able to for example, PvP against the bandits that the guard will spawn. For example, that's one of the things, and that's not yet implemented. However, I have completely implemented the player system alongside of basic combat mechanics. So right now, in the terms of combat mechanics, you have combat text, which displays whenever you hit something. Notably, it's that if you hit blocks, so if you hit a block with a pickaxe, for example, a stone block with a pickaxe, it does a certain amount of damage to that block, and then we're basically using the combat system in a way in order to facilitate resource collection. Now, given that that's how I'm going to go ahead and implement it, it's not fully implemented yet, as I'm still working on things. So currently, you can press X with basically whatever's in your hand, and it will swing. If you don't have anything in your hand, it's going to just go ahead and actually just punch into the air, and a single punch basically takes away 1 energy point. Basically, if you're using more complicated tools like swords and stuff like that, it's going to take up a lot more energy to do less damage. And as you get better and better tools, it's going to take less. That way you can be a lot more efficient with your usage of energy. Once you use up an energy point, it's restored by basically taking away some of your hunger. Your hunger will slowly deplete until it goes to 0, at which point you start to, or actually once it goes less than 1, it starts to starve you. Another thing is that hearts will regenerate so long as your hunger is above 3, which means that you can sustain damage in combat and get that health back relatively quickly. You can also die. That's one of the things that I've added, where you have a little death thing. It pops up as a little dialogue text and a red overlay, and then basically you have to exit the game and restart. I wanted to do just restart the level, but I realized that's actually going to be a little bit more difficult. So even though I'm a little bit behind on my implementation of the core mechanics, it's going to be pretty quick to implement the rest, and I hope to finish that tonight before moving on to the open world section tomorrow. Basically, the idea of what I'm going to do in the open world section tomorrow is, like I said, going to be implementing a fully random terrain. You can go ahead and harvest resources, build houses, and then it's going to be a lot more of that sort of thing, including trading with the AIs. But for now, let's go ahead and actually look at what I did in the game. So like you just saw right there was a bit of combat text that I have set to default. It basically does a little 14 and then trails off to the top left corner before fading away. The main thing here now is going to be the storyline. So for now, it's the day I finally can begin to set out on my journey. I've waited for years for the settler to return. He promised we could start a new village, a place where I can begin my own life, my own land. It's been a long time, I should go see him. Then the tutorial part, settlers wear white clothing. Go find the settler and press X to interact. So before I actually do that, if I press X here, you can go ahead and see that I'm actually punching. And in the top right corner, you'll see that energy bar is going away and being replenished. If I spam it, it can go all the way down, and then it slowly regenerates back up. I've made it so that using energy is relatively cheap on the food terms, so that you don't have to be constantly eating food. So once we go over to the settler here, I've made sure that the NPCs are pretty much stuck in place, aside from like the normal villagers, and once you've basically completed their quest lines, they're able to go ahead and move again. So if I speak to him here, hello old friend, it's certainly been a while, hasn't it? I know you might want to get going on your journey, but look, you don't have any tools to get started. Go visit the farmer, guard, miner, and lumberjack. They should be able to help you and give you some tools. Meet me again when ready. So in the tutorial, each class of villager is a different color. Farmers are orange, miners are gray, guards are blue, lumberjacks are dark green. There are many more to meet. Once you go along here, and you can go up into the, what's his name? Farmer. So once I go and talk to the farmer, it says, morning to you, whippersnapper, how have you been? So why, if you come to me today, I see you need tools. I have a spare hoe for you, and you can keep it if you go harvest some wheat from my farm and bring it back. I'll even give you something worthwhile. And as you see in the bottom sort of left-ish, in our inventory slot, we actually have a hoe which was added to our inventory. So the tutorial is to go to the wheat farm and equip your hoe, hit X to harvest. A fully golden wheat will drop seeds and wheat. Wheat can be made into bread for food. We'll plant some later. And then basically if I hit triangle, basically it pops up this little cursor which I can use to traverse the inventory. Inventory has 40 slots. And then once I hit this, I can go ahead and move around this item and place it down wherever I like. And then you hit circle to exit out of your inventory again. I should make it circle or triangle, but it's really easy to double tap triangle. And then with this equipped, the idea is that you'll be able to eventually just hit this. It will take more than just one energy to farm it, but it's going to basically take away this wheat. It's going to be just replaced with the farmland, and it's going to drop both a piece of wheat and one or two seeds, depending on random chance. That's sort of the idea of the item drop. Likewise, we can go around to other villagers to get different items. Now, the numpty villagers, these ones have unique dialogues. So, like it says, have you seen the bandits? They look so scary. Thankfully, we have our guard. I don't want to die again. So I talk to him again. Game's cool and all, but where's Minecraft? Coming next week, guys. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to walk over to the guard who's standing in the middle of the field. Good morning, what brings you here? I see you need a weapon to defend yourself. Let's see, I spotted some bandits to the north. I got one, but the other escaped. Take this sword and take him on. If you succeed, keep it as a gift. So go find the bandit and take him down with the sword equipped. Hitting X will swing your sword. So of course you can go over to your sword here and equip it. Down here's the lumberjack. Once again, if you talk to the lumberjack, basically, "Morning to you, how can I help you? You need an axe," and it gives you the axe. And then basically you can just actually go across the street and chop, 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 chop. Now obviously it's not implemented. But aside from that, once we go ahead and walk over, we can go to the last guy that we can actually get stuff from, which is going to be the miner. So once you get this, he's going to say, what brings you here? I can lend you a pickaxe, but you're going to need to get some stone to help me replace it. I'll even pay you. Go to the quarry and do that, and then you'll go ahead, mine, and then bring over some stone for him. That's basically the entire progression of the tutorial. Once you've completed all of that and brought the villagers back what they wanted, you can go ahead, talk to the settler, and it will end the level. That's basically the entire plan right here, and the last real thing that I have to add, obviously, as I said, is going to be harvesting blocks and harvesting players. Aside from that poorly executed joke, we're going to go ahead and basically end that here. So last thing that I want to talk about is, of course, the end plan for tomorrow. So for tomorrow, basically finish the entire tutorial village so that nothing remains here. Also want to add some music and sound effects, but that shouldn't be too hard to add. The last other thing that I want to do is go ahead and start the new world, which will allow you to basically wander around in infinite terrain. I also want to make sure that you can still use the basic mechanics, of course, in that new world as well. So without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.